My name is Kim. I'm a founder of Dynamic Nature and Art. We're the community for art and science and art and technology to build a community for artists, scientists, and technologists. And can you introduce yourself?
My name is Mauricio López, and I'm an artist. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your art is based in Chicago.
In Chicago, yeah, but I'm from Chile.
You're from Chile.
Yeah.
So I would love to talk about the technology that you're using, especially sound, because I think sound is one of your important element of your works. So I was wondering, what is sound means to you?
Yeah, I think that first is like my relation with technology in general. I don't think my practice is like completely like technological in the way that it start like from the get-go thinking about technology. I think that technology start to happening along like between me between the process of thinking like how can I make this happen, and then technology appears as a possible solution to do something or a possible technique to represent something. And that's like in every sense. It could be like sound, it could be like movement. With sound, I think that the main thing is that I study music composition. Like my ears has always been aware of my surroundings in different ways. First it was music, and then I like sort of like tune my ears to hear in that way. But also like in that process there is like so many things that you're missing out because you're just thinking about everything in a musical context. But then it was like there are like much more things outside the musical realm, so it was maybe a different like expressive possibility to embrace and work with. So even though like I am trying to do work like in different fields or like more related to sculpture or installation, I feel that my sensibility or my decisions are always like driven by my ears. And I think that's because like that's the way that I learn everything. That was like my approach to do stuff. So yeah, sound is always there. Sound is always present, even though maybe there are pieces that they don't have sound. But I'm really aware of like thinking sonically or thinking in structures that happen in the space or thinking about resonances. And yeah.
I think that's really interesting that you react environment through sounds. Like you sense sound the first, all the environment from all the environments, and then you make installations. Like recently, currently, a lot of your work is mostly installations, working with sounds, and so how does the installation visuals and sounds resonance together and then make it as one piece to you?
Yeah, I think that's like the thing that is more interesting for me is like this material quality of sound applied to different objects. And for me is something that is like it's something that I'm still learning, and I think the only way to keep on learning is keep on doing. And it's the possibility of using sound to shift the expectations that you have around objects, which at some degrees start with like I think that it's like a way to modify the intention of an object if you interfere their physical qualities. I mean like bending something or like painting something. So I am really interested in how sound can do that same that how sound can make like this same relation with an object. So it's like what happened with an object if I put inside of the thing something that is going completely to what you expect of this object, and how much that meaning is changing with that just like simple exercise that is like a plus b, and then it's like the result of something else, even though you can recognize the a and b on itself in a really clear way. Um, so so for me, like thinking the installations as like physical objects, it's always like trying to fight back the expectations of those objects through the application of like sound or movement, uh, and see how much I can push that idea. Um, but it's not that, and I think that also like that way of doing stuff is not because like I am just like curious of like the result. Usually it comes because like I'm interested in a concept or a context of things that are happening, and then it's like I feel the only way to address this is through that play of like physical presences of something and resonances or like sounds.
Talking of your concept, I think I found your artist's bio and artist statement. Um, there was really interesting part that I was thinking. I often position myself within complex terrains where confusion quickly flares up, and instead of living, I remain.
Mm-hmm.
Is the part that I feel like that's pretty poetic, but at the same time, that's like you're trying to balance between some things like that is societies and also yourself at the same time. So, but also I was wondering, in these positions that you're putting yourself, where do you think you are? Like, what kind of positions do you have right now?
Yeah, well, I think that there's like this, I have like this general feeling of, uh, and maybe I'm going against of what I said earlier, but it's like there is always like this starting point around curiosity, and curiosity can be like a really wide topic, but I do feel that it's important for me uh, be aware of like the different experience that I have like during a day, and also be aware of the possibility of staying in something that is pushing me to another connections or pushing me to another like uh, sensibilities, and in that point making decisions. And it could be something in the street, it could be the weather, it could be anything. But I think it's important, at least like in my way that I do things, is identifying that moment and making a decision. And that decision is like, I'm gonna stay between these lines, I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna listen this way, I'm gonna write something, I'm gonna draw something. And usually what I'm like more curious about are like situations that make me feel uncomfortable, or maybe things that I feel that are unfair, or maybe things that are like pop up in much more like social complex situations that are like in my surroundings. There's also like a lot of points that I'm like reflecting my position of someone in this country and making comparisons with other people that are like facing different situations, even though we are living like in the same block. So it's like how much I'm pushing myself to those situations, and at that point, like I am like being driven just by curiosity. Like I don't know if this is gonna be like some artwork or something like that. It's just like I feel the need to try to. I know if it's understand, but I have like the need to believing what is happening, uh, and usually that could end up in something. Um, so my pieces like are somehow like remains of like digesting those experiences. It's like I decided to stay there longer, and maybe I shouldn't have, and this like end up like this. Uh, so like most of my work start with this like really abstract idea that I'm like interested with.
So
Yeah.
it's starting from curiosity, and then you found the connections,
Yeah.
and then through those connections, do you trying to find anything, like inside?
I yeah, I think that what I usually try to find is why I'm interested in this. Why did I stop, or things like that. And at least like in the past like couple of years, I think there are like some like topics or lines that repeat themselves, uh, and they show me why I'm doing that, even though I'm not like completely like conscious in the exact moment that thing's happening. So yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Did I answer? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's valid. I mean, so for the that's mostly like inspiration through all the like sounds and the environments.
yeah.
What is the currently the most inspirations? Like, what is the most inspirations to you um recently?
Mm. I I don't know. Like I feel that for me, like the concept of being inspired by, it's so hopeful.
Hopeful?
Yeah. I think it's like full of like. I think the inspiration it has like a, maybe I'm wrong, but it has for me like a positive quality. It's like I've been inspired by this, you know, and and I don't know if my work is related to that. I think that there is more of like a really personal reflection on complicated things that are somehow related to topics that I feel that are somehow like unfair or stuff like that. So I don't know if I maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that there's like a positivity in being inspired by, and most of my works are related to things that are more precarious. Uh, so it's hard for me to connect the precariousness of the things that I'm interested with thinking of them in an inspirational way. I think there's like a mismatch on concepts. Um, so I don't know. Like I feel that I really like those precariousness push me to do something. You know, I think that I'm like more aware of that, and in that sense is I don't know. Well, lately I've been thinking a lot about, and this is gonna sound like really cheesy or like a cliche, but it's like about flags. Uh, Flags have been like around. Flags, like the relations of of flags here in the U.S. is completely different to what I was like experiencing in Chile or something like that. So it's like I'm started wondering of those things, and usually like that wonder about something is like to start to uncover or like no to reveal like different aspects or topics that are like much more complicated.
So this will be the last questions. What do you think living in Chicago as an artist?
Mm. I I think it's great.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, um, I feel that basically like the thing that really surprised me it's that if you have a group of people that are willing to do something, you will probably make it happen somehow. So it's
Mm.
like if you have like 5 people that wanted to put a show together, it's like let's call someone, and that someone will probably say yes, and then you have a show next month or things like that. I mean like not in like I mean like more like in the independent, do it yourself uh, dynamic. Which I think it's something great because like it gives you like more possibilities to test stuff, or or look for different reactions or look for different inputs or also and I think there is like this like constant invitation of like trying stuff. uh, so so at some point like that gives you like more space to maybe not being so hard if you are not if you are like if you didn't spend for example like enough time on something but you still have like the opportunity to show it and see what happens. And I think that's like really important. And for me, like putting myself in those situations had like initially was like kind of like I need to be more prepared, but then it was like no, let's see how this works. And it's like having like that mentality around like experimenting, that I think it's like so core on everything. So I think that Chicago has like pushed me also like to doing that. And yeah, and I think that also like uh it's pretty crazy as an artist to when you realize that every day something is happening. like every
Like in the city.
yeah, like every day, and sometimes it's like overwhelming, like like the amount of things,
Yeah.
like oh today there are like 5 shows. And I think that also like I try to be like sort of like really sober
Mm-hmm.
around that. That's why like I live in a neighborhood that is like not much happening, and that is like pretty boring but in a really charming way. That's what I think. So it's like I am like really aware of like all the things happening, but I also have the possibility of like going back home where there is like a really nice theater with 3 movies, and that's my whole thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thanks to you.
Thank you for today.